All right. What do you think, Greg? Should we
Yeah, let's go for
dig
it.
in? All right.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to be doing this webinar for you about how smart tools can help drive operational efficiency. And my name is Corinne Oki. I'm the VP of Client Experience at Breezeway, and I'm joined today by Greg Farrat from GuestView Guide. And we're going to jump right into everything. Really looking forward to spending the next 30 minutes or so with you. And Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can kind of go through a couple housekeeping things on our side, no pun intended, as we want to get started.
Sounds great. Welcome, everyone. My name is Greg Farrat. I lead sales for NEC, a Sharp NEC Display Solutions, and specifically the GuestView Guide, our digital display. Just to kick things off, some housekeeping. I do have up on the screen questions at the end. However, please feel free to enter any questions you have in the Q&A chat box. We'll answer those throughout the webinar, as well as make sure we get to them at the end. We are recording this, so you can actually see this later or share it with your friends, family, and coworkers. And then we will have a follow-up document called 5 Ways You Can Drive Operational Efficiency, and we'll provide that to the group today as well. So moving on, some key topics of today's discussion, how a dynamic property care and operational tool can better equip your staff and optimize service delivery. Breezeway will also talk about how this comprehensive property care program can operationalize your guest experience, leveraging smart tools. And then I'll talk a little bit about how GuestView Guide can keep your guests informed and streamline some communications and increase the retention and make your guests happy and your staff happy while you focus on other needs like revenue generation opportunities rather than revenue drain opportunities. So with that said, and without further ado, Corinne, I'll turn it over to you with Breezeway.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, this is great. I'm going to start a timer because we're trying to keep this tight for everybody. And I know there's some familiar faces on the call, and I'm sure you all know that I can certainly ramble. So we've got the timer going, and I will try to stick to it. So yeah, so let me take a quick second for anyone who isn't familiar to introduce you to Breezeway. We're a complete operational software that provides rental managers with all of the tools that you need to really deliver great property care and operations for your rentals. So within the system, you can coordinate and communicate any work that needs to be done in back of house for housekeeping or inspections or maintenance. We provide your team with a mobile app that they can use out in the field to actually do the work. And it really helps to drive accountability and transparency and really set the right expectations for those teams. So, we have our operations product that many folks are familiar with. It's something that we've been doing in a while. We also have a text messaging product as well as a safety product because we believe that not only is it important to have a really robust property care program, but also to have safe rentals that you're inviting your guests into. So before we dig into what Breezeway does and some of the tools that are available, I just want to talk really quickly about what you're seeing here on this slide. We recognize Breezeway system is really purpose-built for the vacation rental industry. We recognize that you all are managing unique homes with individual homeowners who have different needs, and you have properties spread out across a number of areas, sometimes very close together, but also very spread apart. And you're seeing here also some of the results from our property operations survey that we did earlier this year. And I'm calling this out because I think as we're thinking about how you can really drive a strong property care program and provide a great experience for your guests, these all go hand in hand. So these are some of the survey results. About half of respondents from our survey that we did expect that a property care software will be really helpful for their business after what we've all been going through in 2020. Additionally, a little over a third of those respondents also identified that they find that cleaning and operations to be one of the most important aspects of your business. But what we know is that historically, that's been really difficult to do, and to have really good, tools to facilitate that. So if we go over to the next slide, Greg, one of the things we're going to look at here is, the fact that as we're going through here, we know that this has been a very manual process for many people. And we also know that that's been because of the lack of tools. At Breezeway, we believe this to be really important. And we're really excited about how you can leverage systems like ours and GuestView Guide to be able to improve that experience. So let's move over to the next one and talk about how you can do it. So often the work that's being done is actually all done manually, and you're looking at one templated checklist of the housekeeping work that needs to be completed. And that is used across anywhere from 5 to 50 to 500 properties. And that can be really difficult. So one of the easiest ways to drive some of the success is to think about customizing those checklists to the individual homes that the work is being done at. It ensures that any work that is not applicable at that property doesn't cloud the view and the work that needs to be done. And it also means that it's not so extensive that your team is just saying, I'm not going to do this. This is too much work. We're going to avoid this. So it really allows you the ability to identify some of those unique attributes at each of these individual homes and focus on completing the appropriate work. We also want to encourage you to use historical data. Even if you're not using a solution like Breezeway, you know how long you expect a clean to happen. Are you using anything to actually tell you, is it in fact taking that long? Did it initially take 4 hours because the cleaning crew that was doing it maybe wasn't as fast as the new crew that you have? Are you leaving time unallocated that you could be getting more work done, or more work could be given to the individual people? So use some of that historical data and that information to help make sure that you're scheduling work correctly across your team. And then also, think about how you're capturing information when there are issues that come up. How are you reporting maintenance issues that are found from your team when they're out in the field? Is that a call to your team? Are they just telling you when the clean is over that, oh, by the way, I found these 5 things? And again, in that instance where it is a 5-hour clean or a 4-hour clean, you are actually, you're not getting that and you're losing 2 to 3 hours. Think about ways where they're able to actually report issues as they're going through the home and completing the work. So you're getting them in real time. That's going to give you a real, heads up, or legs up maybe is the right term there, on getting some of that stuff done between, especially those busy turnover days. I think coming back to the survey results that we talked about 80% of those respondents are expecting to or planning to customize those housekeeping checklists for each of those properties. And that's something that we're really excited about at Breezeway, because we believe that's to be super important. On the next slide, we're going to talk about prioritizing the quality assurance. Another set of eyes is not going to hurt anything, right? Another set of eyes to go into a home and make sure that the property is actually guest ready will only help you at the end. We often talk a lot about guest reviews, and we also talk about the fact that the cleaners have a lot that they're doing. It is the cleaning company, the cleaning employee, the cleaner's job to clean the property. It is not, in all cases, the cleaner's job to make sure that that property is guest ready. So if you can provide those steps for your quality assurance team or your inspectors to go in and make sure that the work is done, you're going to ensure a couple of things. One, something very simple as the pillows being kind of thrown on the couch could be resolved with somebody going in and doing QA. It could also mean that, that property emboldens the photos that the guests saw that captivated them to make them want to book your home. It also gives you the ability to schedule and perform routine maintenance, which is also often forgotten, and not on purpose, but just because property managers are very busy. You're doing a bunch of stuff, and it's the easiest thing to sort of forget because it doesn't tie specifically to a reservation. And then the last one is think about certifying your vacation rentals as guest safe and ready. And that's something that our team, Breezeway, has a director of safety and certification who's developed what we call the STRSI, which is the short-term rental safety inspector course. It's virtual. It can be done and completed by members of your team, which will help them identify what needs to be done and how they can most effectively make sure that your homes are ready and safe for your clients or your guests to come into. But it also does two things. It shows the commitment you have to your homeowners. It gives you a marketing tool to acquire new homeowners, as well as a marketing tool to make guests feel like they made the right decision with staying with you. And it can be a revenue driver because there is a cost to certify each of those homes, but that's, relatively minimal. And then you can always add an additional fee for your team to actually go through and do those certifications. So not only is it really building a great property care program that is going to ensure you're well positioned, it also gives you the ability to make some money and to look really good to those guests and owners. So how can you do that with Breezeway? We have about 2.5 more minutes here, and I want to make sure that we stick to the time. So the first thing is smartly assign that work. We talked about cleaning times and making sure that people are allocated to the right jobs in the right places. In Breezeway system, you can create custom workflows that are automatically scheduled. When there's an arrival or departure at your home, they can be automatically assigned to the right person. When work is done, it's automatically going to notify the next person who's going in to do that work, so that you're not relying on them calling to tell you that they're done and then you figuring out who's going in next and calling or texting them. It really makes the daily operations when you have, 70, 100, 200, 300 turnovers much more smoother, so that you're not actually kind of the middle person in there. We also want to talk about verifying the property care and the quality assurance that's being done, which you'll see on the next slide. We talked a little bit about this. Sorry, Greg, there we go. Okay. If you give everybody one template of work that they need to do for every clean, and we know that you have all of these differences in homes, it's really important that that they are personalized. I think you're going to find a lot of value in this, and that's what Breezeway does. You create a master template, you apply it to a home, you say this particular house doesn't have, let's say, a sofa bed, or there's no pool. On all of your subsequent visits to that property, you're no longer going to see that show up. You can also supplement that with special requirements for the individual homeowner, so that you're meeting those requests of the owner and delivering on that promise you made. We also use GPS, which allows you to see where your team is at any given point on a map. That will allow you to really effectively move people around as work is running behind or anything like that. And it's really great for maintenance because any last minute urgent issues, you can see who is closest and then schedule them out. Additionally, you can request that they're taking photos, which ensures that all of your brand standards are met. It ensures the information is there. And the last thing we'll talk about here is just reporting to your homeowners. They usually only know a fraction of what you're doing. That's going to be the next slide. So showcase it to them. Every time you complete work in Breezeway, it'll push over, and you're going to be able to share this with them so that they can see all of the work that you're doing, so that you can really get that value in what the work that you're actually doing and drive real confidence in your business for your homeowners. So we really think there's a lot of value in really having a very dialed in property care program. It really helps with the overall experience. And I want to turn it over to Greg to talk about how GuestView Guide can also help once the guests are there and in the unit. So Greg, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Corin. Good to see everyone again. And again, thank you for participating. I want to take a second here and talk about the guest experience for a moment of what it truly costs the PM. Let's be clear. Guests don't want to talk to someone directly while they're on vacation. In fact, if they call you, it's probably bad news or they're asking for something. When's the last time a guest would call you and say, hey, things are great. I want to book again next year. If you get a phone call, you're probably getting some bad news, or you're getting something relative to the property. They may feel embarrassed They can't figure out how to use a TV remote or how to turn on the jacuzzi. Support calls or any contact can last between 10 minutes and through an hour, and that's costly for you. And keep in mind, it's not about fixing the issue if you have 100 properties or 1,000 property, but it's understanding who they are, where they're calling from, what's the problem, when they contacted you, and then you have to diagnose the problem, which costs you money and time. So, and it leads to frustration. And the last thing we need, or you need, or your staff needs is a frustrated guest or a frustrated staff member. That frustration can turn to lower ratings, negative comments in your reviews, and it may also mean they're less likely to rebook with you on a future trip. We want them to book directly with you. We want them to book with you and know your brand name and less with the OTAs so you make more money. Also, frustration can grow by spending too much time on instructions. How many times have we called whatever help desk we've called, and you ask the question, and they answer, "Are you pushing the right arrow? Are you pushing the up button? Are you pushing the down button? Well, wait a minute. Are you really pushing the right button?" It just leads to frustration and complexity, and then it leads to staff burnout. Now, this is a really important slide. I know there's a lot of information on this slide, but especially in these tough times of work from home, Zoom fatigue, screen fatigue, burnout, all of the above, we need a happy staff. There's been so much research and so much commentary from big giants like an Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Facebook on how to keep morale up. That's so important, especially in this new normal of this work from home environment. And there's not a short answer and there's not a silver bullet, but to call out a few highlights: text messages, phone calls, emails, voicemails. It's hard to manage. There's a lot going on. You'd rather have your staff spend more time on revenue driving opportunities than revenue draining opportunities, as I said earlier. According to VRM Intel, as the slide suggests, texting is becoming the single largest way to communicate. It's easy and it's simple, and the response time is 3 to 5 minutes. When's the last time you responded in an email or a voicemail in 3 to 5 minutes? I don't think anyone does that. So that's a few problems that the GuestView Guide can really solve. Finally, GuestView Guide has answers to the problems. It's an amazing 23-inch stunning high-definition touchscreen display with beautiful screensaver pictures of the area, list of recommendations of where to eat, and other information of property at your fingertips. It's a way to make money by promoting first and third-party services or showing advertisements of local restaurants or discounts to nearby attractions. And that's a whole other separate topic than today's call. Specifically for today, it's about driving efficiencies and driving your costs down. You have the ability to record videos, photos, or anything in that property that you get phone calls on: how to work your TV, how to work your remote, how to turn on the pool, how to turn on the heat or air conditioning. All those pesky phone calls you can actually bring up in a self-help tutorial on the GuestView Guide for guests' ease of use. We also provide the Wi-Fi code. Probably the number one phone call is, how do I connect to the internet? What's my Wi-Fi code? You could send messages to your guests notifying them about a holiday festival, or where to place the trash, or an early warning a hurricane's coming, or a simple tip of the day to go hiking at a mountain range down the street. The nice thing about the GuestView Guide, and one of my favorite areas of knowing when the guests check in and check out, again, leading to efficiencies in your operational and cleaning staff. So net, GuestView Guide can help your guests be informed to streamline communications, save time, save money by showcasing your rich property and information to the guests, and then communicate with them so they can contact you directly. Here's a few examples that are live in the market today. On the left-hand side, you'll see the GuestView Guide with a message on the screen, and then it zooms in with many pictures that are live in the market today. They can be automatic, like a welcome message set 2 hours after check-in, saying, "Hey, thanks for visiting. Don't forget to check out the area." Or it can be a personal manual message saying, "Hey, happy anniversary," or "happy birthday." It's very customizable for you. Here's another example of the home screen when you click on Contact Host, and with a zoom in picture that your guest can select. And all this is customizable to content relevant to your property. After they put in their cell phone, in this case, 407-555-1234, you get notified, you, the PM, gets notified of the text. Here, you know immediately where the issue is, who is contacting you, what the issue is, and how to get a hold of them within seconds. Again, creating a tool to increase operational efficiency, all at the click of a button. Here's another great example of the home screen with zoomed in pictures of the property information. When you click on property info, the guest will see a recorded video or a picture. Simply put here your 5 or 6 topics that you get called from the most, your TV, your fireplace, your trash bin, your hot tub, and watch your guest contact drop. Again, saving you time, being more efficient, and operationalizing the opportunity. And finally, and one of my favorites here, in the home screen, zoom in picture of the check-in and check-out notification. The guest has the ability to check in on the device and give you an instant rating. And if it's bad, they can contact you right away. We had a contact out in California that the property manager got the unhappy smiley face to the left. And immediately he called the guest, and there were ants in the house. Disgusting, right? Immediately it was taken care of. When they checked out, they got 5 stars. The other great opportunity here, leading to operational efficiencies, is the ability to know when your guests check out and the timing. We want to make sure they actually read the checkout rules, but they know when they check out. In this example, they're checking out at 8:15 a.m., giving you efficiencies of scale to get in there and clean, and maybe even then sell an early check-in in addition to your many late checkouts. Thus, the opportunities are endless for Breezeway. The opportunities are endless for GuestView Guide on how to make smart tools drive operational efficiency. So with that, I will turn it back over to Corinne, and we would love to answer any questions. And here's some key takeaways.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting, Greg. We see a lot. We've got some integrations with like lock companies as well, the smart lock companies, and that extra time that can be a lot, associated and distributed out to your team can make all of the difference on a busy, Saturday in the Outer Banks or wherever you may be, right? So it's super important to know when those guests are leaving and to let your team take action to get in earlier. So speaking of action, what are we going to do after this call? Actionable takeaways. I always say, and I didn't say this when we started today's call, but you all know your business. You all are doing this every single day. I know it as well to an extent, but generally a little different. My goal in all of these webinars that I participate in is that you can hear something that myself or Greg said that you can apply to your business that can help you. The biggest thing to do is to recognize where there are improvements to be made and create a plan on how you're going to create the efficiencies, whether it is, leveraging a system like Breezeway, or you're going to install the GuestView guides in your homes. Figure out what is going to make that difference, or what 2 things are going to make that difference, and then put a plan in place on how to incorporate them and actually take action. And they don't have to be this grandiose idea. You can start with something relatively small and build on that. Because it's important to determine what's actually going to impact your bottom line and save you time. I was super impressed with the difference in, your resources time between if you're interacting and giving them that information, or you're requiring that they call and ask you those questions. There's 1,000 other things. It's the same thing that I talked about with don't make your cleaners call you to tell you that they're done with the clean, when we can automate that for you, because that team that's sitting there, they're not just sitting around waiting for someone to call and answer that question or to take that call and then make that connection. So you have a bottom line impact on your business.
There was one question that came in, is how easy is it to create content for GuestView Guide? And I put this in the chat. It is super easy, but it does take time. We have resources. We have an onboarding team that we would set up with you for a 30 or 60-minute call. We have resources on our website. We have self-help tutorials. But once it's done, and once you're done setting up, then it's plug and play. The other thing is, Once you put the guest view guide on the wall, plug it in, connect to the internet, you're done. You can actually manage everything from afar, anywhere on the world, directly on your desktop. It's that simple. Sorry to interrupt you, Corinne.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, that's going to allow you, coming back to making sure your resources are allocated correctly. It's going to allow you to give your team the ability to focus where it really matters and where it's going to have a direct impact, there for you. So, I know we had that question that came in. If there are any other questions, there is a Q&A option in there that will allow you to ask those questions. Looks like we have another question. Do I have to be at a property to set everything up?
No,
Greg,
no, you don't. You actually need to just plug it in, turn it on, like mine behind me, if you can see it, connect it to the internet, and then everything is done from afar, whether it's loading your content, your pictures, your services, your selling late checkouts, anything you want to sell, anything you want to promote. You can do it by way of your dashboard, sitting at your home office, anywhere in the world. It's that simple and that plug and play. Good question.
Fantastic. And as it pertains to Breezeway, from needing to be at a property to set up like the home inventory or the profile of the house, we do a lot of that through our integrations with the PMSs. So we're going to pull a lot of that information over automatically. So when you log into your account, you're going to see that. And then you can do it, either from the comfort of the home if it's easier, or you can do it, as Greg shared, from your office, or, someone can do it on their phone remotely, that you don't need to be in the property.
Any other questions or comments? We do have a little bit of time left.
Greg, a question about the durability of the GuestView guide.
Yeah, it's a great question. No, it's extremely durable. It comes with a cleat that hangs on the wall. It either screws into the studs or screws in with an anchor. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's definitely not. I mean, you really can't do anything about it. We've tested it. You can try to knock it. It's extremely durable. And we've done that because we've put it through a lot of tests, because you have kids there. There may be parties there, but durability is one of our key strengths.
Fantastic. I will tell you, while we wait for a couple more questions to come in, I totally, going back to your example of, a video versus writing out the instructions, something that I've taken at Breezeway in answering our client questions, right? Like, not having to write out, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. It's way easier to give someone a visual representation, a visual representation of what actually needs to be done through some sort of video. So I think that's a great piece in there. About the question on websites for the products, you'll see on this screen that's up now, Greg's contact information and my contact information. Feel free to reach out to either of us if you have questions about our products, or about how you can add these into your business and see some efficiencies, and what that might look like, what it might look like for your particular business. We did it, Greg. We kept our 30 minutes.
That's great.
Goal. So anything else that you have before we wrap it up?
No, we just take a picture of the screen and contact us. There is a question about support. For us, Sharp NEC is a global company. We've been around for over 100 years. We have a technical support team available via phone, via email, via chat on the website that can field questions. Like we said earlier, we have an onboarding team that we would set up a one-on-one onboarding call with you. Our goal, really, at the end of the day, is to help you achieve the value of the GuestView guide, whether it's making money, saving money, or guest delight. And we've proven that, and hopefully we can show you that value as well. So thank you again for the opportunity to present.
No, this has been great. Really want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day. We know there are a ton of Zoom calls. We know there are a lot of webinars. We appreciate you giving us a half hour of your time. We hope that you found something that was super useful that you could apply, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with you. With that, have an awesome day, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.